Aloha, I'm Stan Cox, Principal Broker and Strategist with SC Finance Strategies and Insurance Consultants. I'm also the author of the books, The Tax-Free Cash Growth Warehouse Strategy, and I'm the Managing Director of the Hawaii Financial Freethinkers Academy, a nonprofit financial literacy education organization. For the past several years, I have focused on and specialized in the infinite banking concept and the tax-free cash growth warehouse finance strategy. So why is it essential to work with an infinite banking specialist in order to set up a policy designed for infinite banking? Well, would you hire a plumber to rewire your house? Would you hire an auto mechanic to fill a cavity in your tooth? Most likely not. It wouldn't make any sense, right? Well, you may think that those examples are completely crazy, and you might think, well, infinite banking uses the cash value of life insurance. So any life insurance agent should be able to design a policy that I can use for infinite banking. Well, if you were to state it exactly that way, I'd probably agree with you. And any and all life insurance agents should be able to design a policy for infinite banking. But relying on an agent who is not a specialist in infinite banking is like relying on a plastic battery-powered car made by Mattel for children ages 5 to 10 years to drive into town to go to work or do your errands. If you can fit in a toy car, it may get you to the corner of your block, but you won't be allowed on public streets with it, let alone on the freeway. Now, I was astonished when, after learning about infinite banking myself, I discovered that the majority of insurance agents have no idea what infinite banking is, let alone how to properly design a policy for maximum cash value. And of course, because the primary reason most insurance agents are in the business is to make as much money as possible, they do not see it as in their best interest, even if they do know how to design policies for infinite banking. Well, why is that? Simply because policies that are designed properly for infinite banking are composed of the smallest amount of whole life, which is the highest commissionable part of the design, and the largest part of the policy is made up of riders, which carry the tiniest amount of commission. So when an agent designs a policy properly for infinite banking, he's cutting his personal income drastically. The result is that even when an agent learns of infinite banking, they're not likely to tell their clients about it. The worst case, though, is when an agent is selling a really high commission product, such as universal life, particularly indexed universal life, or IUL. If someone asks about using IUL for infinite banking, many times the agent will try to convince them that IUL, or universal life, is just as good or even better than whole life for infinite banking. That simply is not true. Universal life is not at all suited for infinite banking. One problem is that typically agents are not educated on the pitfalls of universal life. They're only taught how to sell the product, how it has potential to make cash value gains greater than whole life. And technically, it is true that IUL has the potential to make really good gains if the stock index that it's tied to consistently makes great gains, but the gains made by the index are not directly correlated with the gains in a policy cash value. For one thing, IULs have a cap to the gains that they're allowed. And then there are all the fees attached to the policies. And then there is the fact that universal life policies are basically term policies with some additional things built into it, like index to stock index, that creates some cash value. But the cost of the insurance increases every year. So if you don't voluntarily increase the premium you pay, the difference will come out of your cash value. And that's why universal life policies generally lapse with no cash value after about 20 to 25 years. Now, you can use any whole life policy for infinite banking once it has built sufficient cash value for you to leverage. But if you want a policy that is designed for infinite banking, that is designed for maximum cash value growth, it needs to be a participating whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends on top of the guaranteed annual interest. And it needs to be designed with a minimal amount of base whole life and a maximum amount of cash value building riders. Ideally, your infinite banking policy will be with a company that pays high dividend interest to its participating policies and has a low simple interest on their policy loans. And it's best if the company has a non-direct recognition policy for the policy loans. For an explanation on direct versus non-direct recognition, check out our answers to frequently asked questions here on this channel. We have a video on that subject, direct versus non-direct recognition. You see, without the special riders for accelerating the cash value growth, whole life by itself generally gains no value the first 2 years. Then it begins to grow slowly over the following years and gradually gets better and better. Designed properly, an infinite banking policy will have at least 50% of the premiums paid available in the cash value the very first year. And if your annual premium is $10,000, you'll have at least $5,000 in your cash value available to be leveraged as soon as that premium is paid. And it could be as much as 80%. I remember back many years ago, I worked in a camera store. They had all kinds of cameras and accessories. Several of the accessory items carried a spiff or commission. I have no idea why they called it spiff, but that's what we call it. Obviously, all the salespeople tried to sell as many spiff items as possible. Our hourly pay wasn't all that great, understatement. So selling things that earned us a little extra commission was good for us. Now, sometimes a particular camera or camera and extra lens kits would carry a nice big spiff. So of course, we would really examine that camera kit and figure out what was the best features and how to best get customers interested. If a customer came in wanting a Canon camera, but the Ricoh camera had a big spiff, you can bet every one of us would do our level best to show the customer how great the Ricoh was and how it had all the features the Canon had and then some. In any case, we would always also do our best to convince the customer that they needed the skylight, polarizing filters, the carry bag, and the tripod, on and on. Everything in the store that had some kind of spiff. Can you even imagine that we would just sell the customer just the Canon camera they came in looking to buy without trying to sell all the spiffy add-ons? Heck no. So when a life insurance agent can make a commission of $5,000 by selling you a term or universal or straight whole life policy, but you want a policy designed for infinite banking that would net the agent a measly $1,500, what do you think the agent's going to try to do if they aren't an infinite banking specialist? Well, one thing is they can't help with something they don't know anything about. And most people aren't willing to take a cut and pay to help someone out they don't even know. So most agents who aren't infinite banking specialists are going to try to sell you what pays them the highest commission, of course. Now, I'm no self-sacrificing saint. I was a photographer for most of my adult life, and I loved making portraits for people. I know how valuable fine family portraits are to people, and I was passionate about creating the best possible portraits for my clients. Well, when the bottom fell out for me with the advent of the selfie, I had to find a new profession. I was recruited into the life insurance business, which honestly, I had absolutely no interest in, but the recruiter sold me on Universal Life, IULs. Made it sound like the greatest thing and super easy to sell. I needed an income, so I jumped on board. Didn't take long, though, for me to discover that I had actually swallowed hook, line, and sinker. Practically nothing I was sold was true. A couple of years into it, and I discovered the truth about Universal Life, which totally turned me off of Universal. And at about the same time, I was introduced to infinite banking. Now, here was something I could really get excited and passionate about. When I shared it with my wife, she got excited about it too. Why not? She's a smart girl. So while I'm no saint, I do love helping people. And infinite banking is something I truly believe everyone should be doing. And while infinite banking is a really good thing to have to care, or I'm sorry, well, life insurance is a really good thing to have to care for loved ones when you die. Talking about dying and death and all that just doesn't excite me, okay? But hey, infinite banking is awesome. And the added bonus of life insurance is just about the coolest thing. So, you know the saying, do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. Well, I love teaching and helping people with this fantastic finance strategy called infinite banking. In fact, I became so passionate about it, I worked on it, added a couple additional strategies that are greatly enhanced by the infinite banking basics, and I call it the tax-free cash growth warehouse. So for me, being able to do something that is genuinely helpful for people, and I can make a living by doing it, the satisfaction I get makes it worth taking a cut and pay. So, do you want to get stuck in a toy car that you can't even drive on the public streets? Or do you want a true hot rod that'll blister the pavement as it takes you down the highway to financial happiness? And that's why it's essential to work with an infinite banking specialist if you want a policy properly designed for infinite banking. Now, if you found this to be helpful, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, please post your questions and comments here. For a more complete explanation of the tax-free cash growth warehouse strategy, you can watch our free 60-minute webinar. The link is in the description box below. The link to buy my books on Amazon.com is also in the description box down here. If you'd like to book a free phone consultation with me, the link to my Calendly page is also below. If you'd like to apply to become a client of ours, we would love you to do that. The link to the application is also below. We're here to help, and we look forward to helping you. Aloha and mahalo for watching.